Talent is overrated. We live in a society obsessed with achieving maximum performance. We test. We test in grade school for the TCAPs here in Tennessee where my kids go to school, the SAT, the GRE. We're trying to determine how smart and great these kids are, right? They do the same thing in baseball. For example, recent statistics, I saw this where only 5.6% of the kids in high school, the best players, make it and play in college. And only 10.5% of those kids have the ability after college to go on and play baseball at any level professional. Very few of those people ever progress out of AA ball, AAA ball into the major leagues. And less than 0.5% of the kids drafted in high school. Think about all the kids drafted out of high school in the major leagues. They think they're going to go to the pros. Of all those kids drafted, only 0.5 of those kids ever see a major league inning. Talent is overrated. They've got the NFL draft coming up, and they had the NFL combine, and what they do is they bring these kids in thinking that these short-term tests, how high they can jump their vertical leap, their broad jump, how many times they can bench press 250, right? How fast they can run the 40. They think that these short-term tests are going to equate to how great of an NFL player they are. They do the same things in business. They'll, for example, in supermarkets, for example, they will time the checkers to see how quick and how accurate these checkers are. Now let me ask you a question. You're running a grocery store. Just because that person is the fastest, most accurate checker over a 10-minute period, is that the person you want face-to-face in front of your customers day after day in an 8-hour shift? There may not be a correlation. How many people do you know, maybe they got a 1600 on their SAT, they're brilliant, but you would never hire them? Maybe they could even have a PhD, but they're unemployable because they lack those social skills, right? Talent is overrated because here's why. For example, with the NFL combines, it's a short-term test. They might be strong, they might be fast. What's their heart? Do they have any guts? Do they have grit? Do they have the determination? Do they have the willpower to stick with something when it's difficult? That's the problem. What they found is that those key character traits are often more valuable than raw talent. One of my favorite scenes from the movie Moneyball, if you saw that, starring Brad Pitt, they're in there, and all the old-time scouts, right? All the scouts think, hey, they know how to find a great player because they're strong, they can throw, they can hit, and they think by watching them they're great. And then had the one little statistician they brought over, and they're trying to draft these kids. And what does Brad Pitt say to that guy? And what does he ask him a question? He says, hey, why should we draft that guy? What does he say? Gets on base, gets on base, gets on base, over and over and over. They want the guys who can get on base so they can score more runs. Baseball is scoring more runs than the other team. So here's what I'd like to share with you. We have a trophy generation right now of kids we overpraise, overpraise, overpraise. They think they're talented. Talent isn't enough. It takes consistent, deliberate practice to get to where you want to go. You got to make it fun, but talent is vastly overrated because I'm sure you've seen people in your career had all the talent in the world, couldn't stick with it. They didn't have the desire. They didn't have the guts. Maybe you're talented, but maybe it's going to take more than your talent to get to where you want to go in your career.